Hey guys, this is Phil again. I'm here to share another tip about Digital Performer. I'm on DP 9.5. Today I want to talk about exporting your conductor track. So I'm just going to open the track selector window. I'm just going to option click the conductor track so we can look at it, and I'm going to use the command arrow to enlarge that for you here. I just want to talk about how to share a session, just the conductor track and the markers. So as you can see, I've got quite a long session here. It's around about nearly 30 minutes worth of music. Already recorded lots of audio tracks, but I want to export the audio to my keyboard player, but I also want to give them a conductor track so that I can capture their Midi and add that to my session so I can edit their parts. So as you can see here in my conductor track, if I press Shift E, I can actually reveal the event list window. And as you can see here, as I'm highlighting, there's lots of different, there's even some meter changes, tempo changes, lots of markers, which is really a guide there for my keyboard player to see what sections are coming up. They're going to play live along with this track. But I don't just want their audio file back. I would love to have their Midi back as well, so I can do any editing, any transposition, change velocity, fix any wrong notes, that kind of thing. So what I want to do is export this conductor track. As I said, lots of markers, lots of meter changes, time signature changes, and tempo changes. So my keyboard player is a ProTools user. I'm going to send them an audio file, but I also want to send them this conductor track as a Midi file. So I'm going to go to the Save As function here, and it automatically brings up a window. What I'm going to do is title that Midi file conductor and markers for keys. And then down here, I'm going to select the format of that file. And whilst there are other options here like OMF and AAF interchange, I'm actually going to select MIDI, standard MIDI file. What I find is this is the best way to share the session with somebody else. And I'm going to click on the desktop and I'm just going to save it. And once I click save, it's then going to bring up this MIDI file options window. And here I can select different options. I would suggest that when you do this for another user who's using different software from DP, such as Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, that you try all these different formats. In fact, because they're small files, these MIDI files effectively, with the conductor and marker information only in them, that the file size is very small. So it's totally fine to go through this process and do an export of all these different formats and label them well so that your Pro Tools user or the user of other software can try the different formats for importing. Now here you can actually set an end file time, a bar number. You can put that in there, whatever you choose, and then click OK, and then the file's saved. And then I went ahead and made a bounce of all the audio. As I said, I got quite a few tracks here. I'm just going to shrink down. Churned out an audio file that starts at beat 1 bar 1 to match the conductor track for them to play along to. And then my friend has told me that he can successfully import the MIDI file that I sent him as a conductor track for Pro Tools, and he can see all the tempo changes and all the markers in position as well. Then he's gone ahead and recorded his keyboards. He's connected his MIDI device to Pro Tools, recorded the MIDI track as well as his audio track and sent them both back to me. And now I'm actually going to try importing that back in here. Okay, so there's a few options. What you could do is simply start a new MIDI track. So you could go up here, add track, add a MIDI track, and I'm sure it'll be right down the bottom. There it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just switch that to none at the moment. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go into my list here and just, there it is. Okay, so you can see I've still got my markers and positions and everything here. If I highlight the conductor track, all the tempos information is all there. I can grab the MIDI file he's sent me called Keys MIDI, and I can simply drag it and drop it. And you can see what it's trying to do is actually replace the conductor track. If I pull it over to this side and drag it in, it's actually going to create a new MIDI track, and all my MIDI data is dropped in there beautifully. Okay, so that's one way to do that. Another way to do this is to try the file, select file, and then click on import MIDI file as sequence. Now, if you're not aware of what chunks are, this is a good time to look that up. But essentially, chunks are like different sequences. For instance, I've got one sequence here with lots and lots of tracks. If I wanted, I could start a new sequence that was completely blank. In this case, it's got a default of one MIDI track. Let's try this option, which is import MIDI file as sequence. And let's see what happens. So I find my friend's keys file from ProTools, right? So he sent it back to me as a standard MIDI file. If I click open, it's going to create a new chunk. And you can see down here, as I click on it, guess what? It's brought back all the conductor track markers and tempos and meter changes and everything that I sent him in the first place, which is actually really cool because I want to make sure that his keyboard parts line up with the tempo grid, if you like, for each song so that I can quantize, I can move things around and see the grid as I open his MIDI. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this so that I can get in there and you can see, as you can see here, just from one example, that he's played nicely on the beat there. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of how you can re-import MIDI files. Something I've always wanted to do is, make sure I can get a keyboard player's MIDI as well as their audio when I'm recording sessions remotely and I'm not there in person to actually record someone. I get them to send me their MIDI as well as audio. So hopefully that helps you guys. It's all to do with, exporting the MIDI. As I said, the conductor track is MIDI. As I said, make sure you try the different options when you go save as. There's lots of different MIDI file options there. I won't tell you which one to use. I would, as I suggested earlier, make sure you use a bunch of them and try experimenting with your other users of other software and see what works best for them. ProTools seem to be pretty seamless. I had some struggles with Cubase and Logic in the past, but just try the different options because they're only small file size. I hope that helps you guys. Thanks for watching. Stick around for the next video. I'm sure I'll be back with some more DP tips in the not too distant future. And click like and subscribe if you'd like to. Thanks a lot. Take care.